must teach them that they can be those who pass the vote.
I ran for alderman at the age of 27. We were so close to victory by only raising $80,000 compared to a campaign that had $1 million. I still only came 76 votes short of victory. Well, less than a year later, I decided that I was not going to give up. I was determined that no one can outwalk me, no one could outtalk me, and no one loved my community more than I did. So less than a year later, we came back and we won by 500 votes. So I chose to run for office to show younger people to not only get interested in voting, but to say we're gonna have a voice too. I look forward to seeing the youngest alderman or the youngest committeeman or the youngest governor in office one day.
Well, my solution is, as a people, that we get on the same page and we do our own vote and we worry about our own circumstances, our own organization, and stop worrying about what we do under someone else's flag. I'm talking about literally organizing a black vote, getting our 100 most influential people in a room where we vote on our own nationality. Legally, African American is not a nationality. The Supreme Court and World Court does not accept African Americans as a legitimate nationality or identity. So there's a path through World Court for a legal identity. And that's called a plebiscite, a public vote. So if we get together, regardless of our sexual orientations, religions, everything else, and we vote, we can have an online vote for our people. I'll break this all down in my book. And we have an influential vote of our influencers, and we actually vote on our own name, Africans in America, Pan-Africans, melanated people, whatever the hell we want to be. We vote on our own name, our own identity, under our own flag, create our own anthem, our own pledge, our own bylaws, our own core values, our own constitution, right? Even as American citizens, we still need our own national origin, right? And we don't have one because we're an assortion of African tribes and countries that were brought here and enslaved here, or some of us were here as Moors or whatever, right? All those things. But right now, we are one people, one like circumstance. So my point is, I put our unity first, and we can sophisticatedly and as a civilized people, vote and orchestrate our own unity. Then we focus on our justice. Our justice goes through World Court, where we get justice, holding America accountable for our human rights violations, genocide, second-class citizenship, our Holocaust and enslavement. And then we work on our repair. Self-repair, right? Before reparations or restitution or repair aid from the government, which is due, I'm all about that, we gotta focus on our self-repair. From parenting, civil disobedience, civil law, African history, to bankruptcy, to real estate, commercial real estate, business. So we have to be intentional again. No matter what our differences are, there are gonna be differences, but we gotta be intentional on our unity, our justice, and our repair, and that's where we win as a people.
White supremacists like to appoint leaders for black people, and then they build them up and then tear them down. And then black people wait for another 50 years until they build up somebody else and then watch them get torn down. And on and on and on. And the white supremacists just sit back and laugh.
People will say, if you don't vote, you don't count. If you don't make a choice, if you don't participate, then you deserve whatever you get. And that's really not true. The American people deserve better than that. And so the system really is rigged. It's rigged by the elite. It's rigged by people at Harvard and Yale University. If you look at the Supreme Court, almost every single member of the Supreme Court at some point attended Harvard University. And America thinks it's a democracy, but they're really an aristocracy. They're really a country that serves the elite, and that's it. So in terms of the way the economic system runs, we serve the elite. In terms of how the political system runs, we serve the elite. The masses are kind of just pawns on a table that are manipulated to the advantage of the wealthy. But the real change will occur with actions that we commit to as a community, not based on what some white guy in the White House does. In the Asian community, their voter participation rates are incredibly low. They just don't feel that they're going to get what they need by voting for the right politician. But what they do, though, is they combine themselves economically and socially. They keep a very close knit. I was riding over here through Chinatown, and I just saw nothing but Asian people everywhere, and Asian businesses, and Asian, and it's sort of like, okay, the mindset is one of solidarity. They stick together, they build their wealth, they educate their children to the highest levels. They push for entrepreneurship, not just going out chasing jobs. And so, at the end of the day, I think that we as black people have to find a strategy that's sort of outside the box.
There are 9 areas of activity. The 7th area is religion. The white supremacists when they got the idea that they were going to establish something called white supremacy, they said we have to dominate these people in all areas of activity, including their religion. Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Confucianism, Judaism, all of these other religions don't come anywhere close to being as strong as the religion of white supremacy.
White supremacy and religion go hand in hand. People used the Bible, manipulated Christianity and religion in order to sell the idea of white superiority, the lies and the myths of white superiority.
The religions that we have sort of clung to in our lives breed a sense of greater segregation.
I think that religion was a tool that was used to manipulate black people into being very passive. If I convince you of little things like, like you should seek to forgive me before you seek to sort of get revenge, or that your rewards are going to come in the afterlife, or that you don't have to solve your own problems, Jesus is going to do it for you, then effectively what I've made you into is a very easy victim of assault, rape, manipulation, robbery, whatever it is I want to do to you.
We can't continue to just sit back and pray and say, at some point, God is going to make this better. Somebody's coming back to save us. We got to be able to and be willing to save ourselves.
The Bible declares that faith without work, then, is dead. What that means is to pray is to have faith, right? But the Bible is saying that you can pray, but the prayer without your work is dead. It has no life. The life that subsequents the power of the prayer means that you do something as well. So I would say this to the person who believes that you can just pray away everything. Well, that's not biblically sound.
Even if you listen to the lyrics of the song Lift Every Voice and Sing, there's a lot of conversation about victimhood, about the pain and the trauma that black people have gone through, every horrible thing that we've experienced. There's also a lot of talk about God, how God carried us through, God's going to get us over it, etc.